parents will always be parents. They're going to be scared for you, fear for you, no matter how old you are. So this video is about everybody who's dealing with their parents right now. Roll it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Nikos. This is mentorsapproach.com, where we strive to make a video each and every week to get you thinking and moving in the right direction. So hit subscribe. Today we're talking about those pesky parents, always giving fear in the eyes of every kid right until they're gone. They do that no matter what. They always put fear. They're always looking out for you, putting fear. So no matter what, if you do something and it goes wrong, it's their fault because they put fear in you. Or if you don't do something and it could have went well, they put fear in your mind and it's their fault. So I've been through it. I think everybody's been through it. Everybody's going through it. Right now, especially if you're playing the stock market. Whoo-wee! We're getting a lot of conversations about this, and it's very interesting. Here's the awesome email. Hi, Nikos. Further to our conversation back in the fall, I secured a loan and wanted to push it into the stock market. Good for you. You finally went and got a loan. That was awesome. So the backstory, this person was doing great in the stock market, and he was looking for more money. I was like, go get a loan. Like, what are you doing? You know, if you really want to risk it, go risk it. You know, nobody's going to make that decision except for you, and you need to make sure you're sure about that and understand the risk. We talked through that, and it was still the dealing of the parents. This is where all this was coming from. I still feel that it is a good time, but my parents think I'm nuts jumping in with this money this late. How do I talk to them? How do I get them to understand that I know what I'm doing? Look, you're an adult, okay? Act like one. Simple, okay? Simple. You have money in the stock market. You're doing well. What are your risks? What is occurring? And do you feel confident in putting this money in? Now, your parents, there's no difference. If you recall, the conversation we had was with your parents, and again, your parents going, yo, what are you doing? Don't put your money in there, it's going to fail. And this was before all the September shenanigans. So now you're sitting there and you're going in the same thought process in your head, talking about how your parents are always going to be putting this idea of something going wrong. Your parents want the best for you, so they're going to actually do their best to convince you to not do something risky. Goes without saying for all parents. All parents will do this, and this is the bottom line. You're stuck in another situation like this, and this is where many people are. They're either looking for approval from their parents, or they're looking for approval from their spouses, or their friends, or whatever. Stop it. Everybody needs to stop it. Nobody's responsible for yourself other than yourself. That's it. Okay? Nobody's responsible other than you. You need to put this through your head. Your parents are your parents. Whether you screw up or not, they're going to be disappointed in you in one way or the other because their expectations are all the way over there. And you're doing none of that. Or you're doing a little of it to make them happy. So you can avoid confrontations. And you're still going and doing whatever you want. Or you're in that party in the group of people that don't do anything other than what their parents tell them. Or they do very little of, not whatever the parents say. So then you're sitting there going, okay, the question is, why are you looking for approval from your parents? They're not going to be happy no matter what. Even when you succeed, they're not going to be happy. I remember my dad once told me, he goes, yeah, you made money this time, but, what about next year? And I was like, am I on like some kind of show? Like, what's going on? Like, you can't be happy for me? He wasn't thinking about the now. He was thinking about the future. And he was going, I don't want him to get in over his head. That's the bottom line. And he wanted me to come down to a place where I could be leveled out and not go crazy on the risk-taking. Maybe your parents are trying to do that. That's a scenario when I'm looking at somebody who goes, I went and got a loan to put into the stock market. Now, in most cases, most people would think that's stupid. It's an insane amount of risk. If everything falls, like say you go get the money, and in a month everything falls, you still owe that money. Oh, okay. So that changes things. So clearly your parents are going to be like, yo, are you crazy? What are you doing? No, you're not going to do that. And they're going to object to that. And they're going to say, go do whatever you want. Don't come back to us because we're not going to be able to help you. And that's what probably is going on right now, because this is the repeat of what happened when we were talking back in the day and you were having the same issues. You were putting too much money into the stock market. They were getting worried, and off we go. Now, I made 2 other videos about this with spouses. This happens no matter who you're with. So whether your parents get replaced with a spouse, because right now you're young and don't have that, but when you have a kid and you have a spouse, the spouse is going to be like, yo, my kid's number one, not your happiness with money. Do not risk everything. Your parents are going, yo, you're going to get married one day down the road. You're going to have kids. Okay. This is the opportunity to take what you made and go do something more secure with it, because all we hear is chatter about the stock market collapsing. So now the question just begs, can we deal with your self-limiting beliefs, which is in the one bracket as to why you're not moving on this? And this is how everybody goes into this. Maybe this should be our first step here. Step number 1 is self-limiting beliefs. What are your self-limiting beliefs? Why are you not just pulling the trigger and moving forward on this? Why are you waiting? You've done great. You seem to know your stuff. Why don't you go do that? And or, why don't you figure out what are the risks, address some of these risks so you can not worry about, hey, will I have money to pay this loan back? So diversify this portfolio in some form or way, okay? And then move in a direction of dealing with your self-limiting beliefs. Go talk to somebody. You need to have somebody to talk to and figure this out. When we coach people on this stuff, it's a process. We coach them through. But it seems like a lot of people in these days need that counselor to walk them through a couple of self-finding things as well. So it would work good to have a, counselor, and go get a coach to coach you on the stuff that you really need help on to really accelerate. Everybody has coaches. This is critical. Everybody's got coaches. Okay? All the big guns have coaches to coach them through different areas of what they're trying to achieve. And if they're not coaches, they're consultants. If they're not consultants, they're something else. Whatever. They have people that they pay to help them make good decisions and to really think about this stuff. And or they have a counselor, somebody to talk to. I have a few people that I know that I never thought had counselors, and then I was talking to them, and they're like, yo, you should talk to a counselor. It'll be much easier. And I was like, oh, you see a counselor? They're like, yes, I do see. Oh, I thought you were Mr. Perfect. Okay, that's great. That's step 1. Step 2 now would be to actually sit there and ask yourself, as you're doing these self-limiting beliefs, ask yourself that one of the big issues that spans off of that, why do you have these parent issues? What are you dealing with? Why do you need parent approval? Why are you seeking that attention? And why are you seeking that approval? That should be done in conjunction with this case. Now, I'm separating this because in this video, in this email, this is specific for you, okay? And a lot of people deal with this, so I'm making it a separate aspect of this. As you go get help with the self-limiting beliefs to make better decisions, you need to understand that you have certain decisions to be made, and some of them relate to something like your parents and your approval of your parents. And the question is, why? You need to figure this out. Now, you watching this video, okay, that isn't the person that wrote this email or relates to this person with the email, might be relating to something else that you need to deal with, like getting approval from your friends, getting approval from your spouse, getting approval from your kids. This thing of approval, okay? We fail. We're humans. We learn from that failure. We get up and we keep going. Stop looking for approval. What is this approval reasoning that is in your environment, and why can it not just go poof out of your window so you're not thinking about it, so that you can just move forward making the right decision at the right time without thinking about that other person over there who has different expectations of you, and you're letting them down, and they're letting you know that you're letting them down, even though you don't even want to be doing what those expectations are. Okay? So it goes for everybody. There's always these little things, and that's step 2. Okay? Step 3, what do you mean, how do I convince them? How do I make them feel, what? Like the way you wrote this, how do I get them to understand what I'm doing? This goes back to those videos yesterday. They're not going to understand. Do you know that my mom still doesn't know what I'm doing? She doesn't get it. She does not understand. She does not. When she understood, when I was working on a $25 million project that was in construction, that's when she understood. She's like, oh, you're building something. She doesn't get it. I'm going and asking for advice, or I'm asking for approval, seeking for approval of my mom or my dad or whoever. Are you kidding me? They don't know. And if they do know, then they're looking at the risk factor, and they're looking at you going, why can't you just go do this other thing that we wanted you to do? That's it. I have, a lot of friends. With this perspective, that have lost the opportunities in their lives from university up to now because their parents were like, that's not what we do. And they bent their head and they moved around. So, what does that mean? The ones that didn't listen, went and did what was best for them, was not worried about this other aspect, they just kept moving. And they're in the place where they want to be. Now, did they fail along the way? Yes. Did their parents get, oh my God? Yes. Now, some of you might be immigrants and you're watching this video, and this might apply to a lot of immigrants when I say this, because I see it more in immigrants' children than I do with non-immigrant children. So, you know, and I was like, my parents, I'm first generation, right? So we're sitting there, and my parents are like, computer science, math. That's where the jobs are at. Meanwhile, I'm like, I want to start a business. What are you talking about jobs? So anyways, like a good little Greek boy, I go and I do my university so I can go for that job. That's not me. How much time have I lost in stuff that was because my parents wanted me to do something else, that it was in line with them? They came from a time where they're like, I'm going to go work hard so you can go become a doctor and a lawyer. You know, go do math sciences, get a good job so you can have kids. So you can go have a white picket fence and cut your grass and, you know, shovel the driveway and then eventually put your money away so you can die comfortably at the age of 80, 90, knowing that you're making at least $3,000 to $5,000 in your pocket from your pension. That's what they wanted. Great. I don't want that. And this is what most immigrants, children, first generation, when I talk to them, that's what they tell me. They're like, well, my parents have a restaurant and they want me to go become a doctor. I want to run a restaurant. I don't care about being a doctor. Oh, okay. So what are you going to do about that? Well, I don't know. I can't deal with them because they're telling me like they're not going to support me in X, Y, Z because this is an ongoing thing. Okay? This is the idea here. Now you're trying to convince them on what? We got to be really logistic here and ask ourselves, what steps do we need to take to have a proper conversation first off, which is, hey, I'm doing this and I'm moving forward on this. I've made the decision. Two, if you really want to have a conversation with them, you have to bring logic to the table. So watch my last two videos and be like, oh, okay, so I want to show them how I know how to do this, like diversifying my portfolio and being like, hey, I want to talk to somebody who's a professional who knows about this stuff, and now I'm bringing some legitness to the equation. And then on top of that, when you have everything structured, you can look at it and, you know, you go, hey, do you want to help me in this process? And they're going to look at you and they're going to say, you're an idiot, go. And they won't bother you. Or they're going to say, yeah, let's sit down and talk about it further and tell me what you're learning. And no matter which case it is, they're going to be making a decision. Okay, let's move forward on this. Let's see what you got. This is where we're at. So take some time. Ask yourself, how does this all fit the narrative? Where you're coming from? How does it fit your specific situation right now, whoever's watching this, and look at all these different 3 steps here are critical, and look at all these different scenarios that people are facing. You're not alone. Everybody's facing different scenarios. And the question is, how can you logically move forward, making the right decisions at the right time? My name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com. Hit that like button, and of course, hit the subscribe button, and leave your comment below, because who knows, somebody might be watching this video. They might read your comment. They might relate, and you might help change a life. Oh, don't forget, there's going to be 2 more videos here. Check them out.